Alright, so God Family Guns put out a video that 20 states openly oppose the ATF on their receiver manufacturing.
The attorney generals of 20 different states have said no to the ATF's new proposed regulations on manufacturing gun parts.
And I was like, yeah! Because that's how it all starts. Like how we beat Prohibition is it was open non-compliance from the average person all the way up to the government level. There was enough people not complying with the law where it was not feasible in order to have the law in place. So I'm like, alright, I gotta cover this. I go and check out the letter, and that's not at all what it said. Like, not even close, not even in the same ballpark. First off, it was 21 states, and it had nothing to do with frames or receivers. So I don't know if he didn't link the right letter, or maybe he didn't read the letter and somebody told him what it said and he made a video on that. Anyway, we're going to do a video what the actual letter is talking about and go from there. Side note, it does appear that such a letter exists. I called around and asked a few people and they said they did hear of something. So Crump, definitely subscribe to his channel because he's where most of my information comes from, and he's a really good investigative journalist. He's going to try to dredge it up for me, and then I'll post a link to the actual letter. So I'm assuming that he just posted the wrong link in his video. So this rest of the video is going to be about what his link was for, but there is a link to the actual letter. If it's way different or something like that, I'll do a video on that as well. Alright, so Crump dug up the letters for me. There is letters, as in two, more than one. One of them is a very well thought out letter that Guns God and Family Channel covers very well. Just watch his video on that. Does a great explanation of what that letter contains. However, there is also another letter from the other side. Their letter is horrible. This is what it looks like right here. And these are the people that need to be voted out. It is emotional based. There are no facts, no statistics, no reasoning. The letter is just like, please, Mr. ATF, you gotta save us from all these poor people that are just buying these 80% receivers and manufacturing criminal firearms. No stats, no statistics, no proof to what they're saying. It's completely emotionally charged. The only stat they give is there's more and more 80% receivers showing up at crime scenes. Which means what? Nothing? Nothing at all. How many more? Would these crimes have been committed with a normal firearm? Because last time I checked, I mean, maybe it's all the rage, but I would not leave a firearm at a crime scene. But apparently it's all the new rage, like you hold up a bank or something and you drop your gun. You leave it there. That's the only circumstance at all that it would make a difference. So how many 80%ers are showing up at crime scenes where your case hinges literally on the fact of not being able to trace that firearm? How many? In a year period, we'll just say. Any given year. How many crimes could not have got solved because of the pure fact that it was a homemade firearm? I'm willing to bet it's zero. Now, this needs to be taken into consideration. Like, I don't want you just to be like, there was this many crimes where we found a homemade firearm. No. This many crimes that came to a complete dead end because there was a firearm here we cannot trace. Now let's pretend you could trace that. What's to say that if they didn't have that homemade firearm, they wouldn't have just stole the firearm? That's still untraceable, serial number or not, unless the person that... In order for a crime to be solved by tracing a firearm, you would have to literally come into a gun shop, do a 4473, basically buy a brand new firearm, because after they're used and they travel from hand to hand to hand to hand, they become basically impossible to trace. So, in this hypothetical scenario, Mr. Criminal would have to come in, buy a firearm that's new production, fill out a 4473, get his firearm completely illegally, go knock off a bank, or murder someone, or something like that, and then decide it is a super great idea to leave your firearm on top of the body or in the hallway of the bank. for the police to find it. And then, after they trace the firearm, they would have to prove that that was actually him there. There would have to be fingerprint evidence, which doesn't require a serial number. There would have to be some sort of photo, which wouldn't require a serial number. All these other things could help solve the case, but allegedly, this serial number is the linchpin to solving all these, just this rampant crime wave that they don't give any statistics for. They just say there are more 80%ers showing up at crime scenes. That could be one more than zero, and it could still fit under the definition of more. So, understand there are two letters. One's really good, one's really bad, one's full of facts and history, the other one's full of an emotional charged group of people just foaming from the mouth. And these attorney generals need to go. They need to be voted out. So next time voting comes up, they need to go. Write their names down, ingrain it in your memory if you live in one of these states. They need to go. So alright, the whole letter's about Chipman. It starts off with firearms are not a hobby. They're not a hobby, they're not a passion, they are tools. Yes, some people use them as a hobby, but they're important for like rural areas where police are miles and miles away, or for the inner city, if somebody breaks in your house, the police could be minutes away. You have seconds to react. That's where a firearm comes in. And they are most importantly to keep the government in check. Because if everyone's armed, we outnumber the government like by an exponential amount, which ensures that the government can never go tyrannical. And their whole point about all this is Chipman is openly against firearms. Like he believes all semi-automatics should have a $200 tax stamp and go through the NFA process. And that's just wrong. They're in common usage, which is the next part. The AR-15 is the most popular rifle. It's literally like, if they were to legislate that you could no longer drive gas vehicles, well, I suppose they did that, and it's going to be kicking in like, 8 years, but that's how absurd it is. It's something like that, a basic necessity that everyone can afford and everyone can use, and they legislate it so only the rich or upper middle class people can access and use it. That's actually what's going on with cars, too. They're trying to make it so gas engines are legislated to death, so only the rich and upper middle class are able to drive and choose where they want to go at free will, so therefore everyone else has to take public transportation. Same principle, which is completely absurd. You can't take away stuff from middle class, lower middle class, and poor people. They need those things. Firearms are especially important if you're at low income, because you're going to be in low income housing, which is high crime rate. You need an instant response to a threat should a threat appear. So they talk about that. And then the whole fact that the AR-15 is literally the swinging dick of the free world. And you want to legislate that? And this is the guy you want to put as a director of the ATF? Somebody that's been, and they clarify too, they're like somebody that's openly been against the Second Amendment, firearms, like has a history, and you want to make him the director of the ATF. Do you understand how dangerous that is? Because the ATF can make laws. Now, they can't make laws because only Congress can do that, but because the ATF has deference, they can literally interpretate the definition of a machine gun as literally anything, as we have seen lately. And because they have deference and they can interpret a machine gun to be whatever the hell they want, they're essentially making laws as backdoor gun control, and they don't have to go in front of Congress. All they have to do is be like, oh, we're reinterpreting the legal definition of a machine gun because it says one function of the trigger, while a semi-automatic, if you were to use your belt loop and bump fire it or something like that, well, that's a machine gun. All semi-automatics are now NFA items. Oh, we're going to interpret the overall length of an SBR. They can interpret the laws that are in books that actually were made from Congress to mean whatever the hell they want. So essentially, they are legally making laws. And it's totally legal. They have deference. Now, if we win the bump stock case, they will no longer have deference. And then everything will start over. So that's why we're really hoping for a win on this one, because it'll change history forever. But until that happens, Chipman can go in there and legally make whatever gun law he desires. Because all he has to do is say, oh, I'm interpreting the definition or the meaning of this law this way, so therefore this is now illegal. And he can do it at the drop of a hat. Doesn't have to go in front of Congress, nothing. He can just decide. He can wake up in the morning, and because he had a bad day, he can be like, all semi-automatics are now NFA items because that's how I'm going to interpret the definition of a machine gun. And they have an agency to enforce that. The FBI will back them up. It will become all semi-automatics are machine guns. There's nothing we can do about it, unless we can remove deference. But right now, that's how dangerous of a position the director of the ATF is. And these 21 attorneys generals recognize this. And that's why they wrote a letter to the ATF like, hey, you cannot put this guy in charge. His goals are very clear. He has a history of pursuing his goals. He is anti-gun. And because that agency has so much power, that is just a stupid move to put him in charge of it. And then they go on. Rifles, not just AR-15s, rifles in general have such a small percentage of actual crime committed by firearms. It's not because they're not capable or anything like that. It's because they're completely inconvenient. Can you imagine somebody trying to conceal carry an AR-15? It's just not feasible. Most crimes are committed by pistols because they're convenient. And he wants to ban or make all AR-15s at least an NFA item, and they are the smallest percentage of gun crimes. Like, rifles take up just a ridiculous small amount of gun crimes. It shows how disconnected he is from reality. Because if he simply wanted to ban something to make the world a better place, he would be going after something that actually commits crimes. Like, I don't know, handguns, motor vehicles, sharp objects. Like, those actually have a decent percentage of killing people and, what's the words for it? In anger. That would make sense. That would, I could kind of relate to what he's saying then. Like, okay, yeah, pistols commit a lot of crimes. Like, I can understand why you're trying to regulate them. But the fact that he's trying to regulate the AR-15 shows that he is completely disconnected from reality. Because even if he did, like, wave a magic wand, abracadabra, all AR-15s are gone. The actual percentage of gun crimes would more or less not be affected. At all. Because they just don't commit crimes. They do, but it's such a ridiculously small percent on the sliding scale of things that commit crimes that it would make virtually no difference whatsoever. And you're telling me that person, that really small percent that was going to commit a crime with a rifle, couldn't have done that with a handgun or a shotgun or something else? Again, it just shows his utter disconnection from reality. And that's what they're going against. So, like, why would you put somebody that has no grasp of reality, is openly hostile to firearms, in charge of an organization that, by all intents and purposes, can wave a magic wand and make laws? That makes no sense. Firearms, the Second Amendment, is vital to our way of life. Without those, like, so many things would be different. We would have been invaded in World War II if we didn't have such a ginormous firearm culture. It's a fact. It's literally a fact. And you want to put this guy in charge. You want him to openly attack the Second Amendment. They even say, we took an oath to protect the Second Amendment. And you're going to put this guy in charge when it's clear he has no intentions whatsoever to do what he's actually supposed to do. He's not going to go after, like, organized crime or drug traffickers or something like that. No, he's going to attack just a little old lady with an AR-15 in her closet. Don't put him in charge. And I get why they wrote the letter. I do. Like, seriously. And that's awesome. 21 attorney generals signed on to this because it means our voice is being heard. They are hearing what we are saying, and they are representing us, so that is important. I wish the letter would have said what he said it said, that they are going to openly defy the new regulations on frames or receivers if they put those regulations out. I wish it would have said that, but it doesn't. It's an attack against Chipman, which I'll take that as a consolation prize. But I would like to see these 21 attorney generals be like, hey, ATF. One, you cannot change the definition of a machine gun. You can't do that. Two, you cannot change the definition of a frame or receiver. If you want to change these things, you need to go in front of Congress. That would have been a much better letter. Unfortunately, I'll take the letter I can get, not the letter I want. But anyway, if you like Top Sports Channel, got my Patreon right there. Also have affiliate links in the description down below. Just by clicking on those links, if you don't purchase what that particular link is for, just clicking on that and then doing the Amazon shopping you were already going to do anyway. You were already going to do it. All you got to do is click my link first. I get a little kickback for it because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.